disclosure, I have never seen these movies, nor have I read the books. I did read The Hobbit in middle school, and the only thing I can remember is that they've got hairy feet. I can relate. So I don't really know what these movies are about, but I assume it's got something to do with elves and ninja swords. And I promise I'm not hating on nerd culture. You know, if we want to talk about Star Wars, NASA, Harry Potter, The Expanse, Star Trek, Next Generation anyway, I'm down. I just never really got into Tolkien. I also only know how to play one type of music, and that's Irish traditional. And let's be clear, this tune is neither Irish nor traditional. I always tell people, if you want to play video game music or Renaissance fair or elf metal or, you know, the Jurassic Park theme song, great melody, but I'm not really your guy for that kind of stuff. That being said, I'm about to break one of my fundamental rules, which is don't teach what you don't know. But if you guys want to learn how to play this tune as if it were an Irish air, then strap in. When I first searched this tune out to figure out what the melody is and why everybody was playing it as their first tune, as so many of you said you did in a video that I asked that question about, what's your first tune? A lot of you said this was your first one, and having not seen it, I had to Google it, and I found the original recording, which I've also linked below. Y'all probably already know perfectly well where to find that. But when I listened to it, it sounded to me like a classical player, probably a silver flute player, though I certainly don't know that for sure, trying their best effort to play Irish music. There's a certain kind of sound you get when classical folks do that, and it kind of jumps out. So this is my take on the tune as if it were played in an Irish traditional way, sort of like how a sean-nós song or an Irish air would be done. So let's break down the basic melody in case y'all don't already have that. It's nice and simple. It's a short two-parter. Here's the first part. Right, nice and easy. Second section here. Third section is basically a repeat, although when you hear the original recording, it starts on an F sharp. I like starting on the D. Either way. And then the last section is very similar to the second section that we just played. It just doesn't go up quite as high. So here's that bit. And then the fun part begins, because we want to make that sound like an air, or at least I do when I'm trying to play something like this. So how do we do that? Well, we have to think about airs as being sung, typically a cappella, in the sean-nós style, and there's a lot of variability, there's a lot of variable rhythm in particular, which makes it kind of unique, I think. So here's some of the things that I would do in that first line. A basic melody again as a refresher. Some basic cuts you could throw in, and then some slides. Slides in particular are great for slow tunes because they're fairly easy to work in, and they have a nice way of kind of flowing out that whole part, making it a little bit more smooth and legato as opposed to just bop, 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 right? Kind of just connects some of those notes. So here we go. Really just a couple of cuts and a couple of slides. Cutting on that first note, accenting it fairly well, and then a cut and a slide into that F sharp. Combining two ornaments is a really cool way to spice things up without hopefully having to overtax your brain and come up with stuff that you haven't done before. If you're confident on cuts and confident on slides, put them together. So that last little thing, coming down to the E, I've demonstrated this in other videos. It's a double cut, and I'm using these two fingers. This finger and that finger, right? Hopefully you get that. Second part here, I would still slide that F sharp. That little trilly thing I did, I think, the second time through I played the tune. Again, another one that I've demonstrated and I would say is optional, but it has a great effect. And that is, if we did it slowly, it'd sound like that. And as I come off the D to the C sharp, I'll use that trick a lot, and I'm just sliding. I'm basically going from D to B, but barely, and just kind of kissing off that note. And I do that as many times as I can because it's one of the unique things about the whistle. It's just one of those physics things that this instrument can do, and that the flute and the uilleann pipes can do, but not everyone can. Not every instrument can. So when I find those, I like to use them. And then same thing on landing on that F sharp, you just bounce gently off that E below it. Now, that sort of trilly thing, that's probably a bit of a classical ornament, really. It's not one that I hear all the time in Irish music, but on an air, it sounds kind of nice, I think, and if you can do it quickly enough, it's got a nice little effect. And it's just a couple of quick taps. I think I'm doing 2 or 3, I guess. And then a double cut, a short roll on the E. And then back around to the first part. Probably do that the same, but I do kind of try to change up the rhythm a little bit on something like this. Again, giving it that Irish air sean-nós kind of vibe. And then the last part, there's a sneaky little kind of half note, half whole note you can do. As you go from the B to the C sharp, we're not really hitting a C sharp. And I'm just rolling off of that note. Hopefully you can see that fairly well. And I ended the tune with a rather large grace note. Bigger than I would ordinarily. I hear it a lot in airs, particularly played on flute and whistle, and it tends to signify the end of the tune. It's a little bit different than you would just a real quick. You can kind of let that grace note hang out a little bit, and again, signifies the end of the tune. So let me know what you think about this. If you guys are already playing this tune, hopefully it gave you at least a few other ideas, a few ways to play it. Let me know. I will see you guys in the next one, and you'll tell me if I need to start watching these movies. Maybe I'm missing out. I don't know. See you guys. Cheers. It's like 4 notes. He wrote one of the most influential pieces of music of my childhood in 4 notes. Man.